If there was one position when I watched the 49ers during their offseason program where I thought they needed help from what we saw on the field, I think it would definitely be the safety position. And when you think about how last season started for the 49ers, Talanoa Hufanga was coming off the ACL injury. And so it was Jair Brown and it was George Odom who began the season as the starting safeties. Then Odom lost his job to Malik Mustafa. And then ultimately, when Talanoa Hufanga came back, it was Jair Brown who lost his job to Malik Mustafa. So the way the season ended, basically the 49ers' top two safeties were Hufanga and Malik Mustafa. Now, in free agency, I think the 49ers had already kind of prepared for losing Hufanga, and they did lose him. He signs a contract with the Denver Broncos, and then unexpectedly, the 49ers also lost Mustafa through the entire offseason and more than likely into the 2025 regular season when he sustained a re-injury of his ACL. He had the ACL surgery, something that wasn't brought to light until after the draft. So with Malik Mustafa out indefinitely, but certainly he'll be starting the season or starting a training camp on the PUP list and more than likely starting the season on that list too. And Jair Brown going through an ankle procedure that knocked him out of the entire offseason program. The 49ers turned to a couple of veteran players to run with the first team defense. So let's take a look now at that safety position. And yeah, it's probably the one spot where people could look at and go, might the 49ers still seek some help on the veteran market? You know, somebody like Justin Simmons. And I don't necessarily think that's going to be the case. Simmons remains a free agent. Certainly, he's been out there for quite some time. If the 49ers wanted him, they could certainly go get him. I would think, though, that they would wait until training camp, and I would think that Justin Simmons would wait until training camp at this point to kind of see where he has his best fit, potentially with a team that's a contender that would need a safety. And I think the 49ers are more than likely right now comfortable with their safety position just because of how they expect the health situation of their team to shake out. So let's take a look at their safeties right now. Let's just start off with the 49ers have seven safeties on their roster at this current time. Last year, they began the season with four safeties. They kept four safeties throughout the season, and that's probably what you're looking at as well. So think about carrying four safeties and who those four safeties are going to be on the 49ers 53-man roster. Obviously, a lot can change between now and the time when final cuts are made, or I should say the initial cuts to 53 are made right before the start of the regular season. So one guy who probably will not have a spot on the 53 man when the season begins is Mustafa. And that's because of what I mentioned, the ACL injury. Right knee injury, it's the same knee that he had an ACL tear back in December of 2021. He returned in time for the start of the 2022 season, which probably at the time at Wake Forest was seen as a very good thing, but maybe not the best thing in the world. So, seeing that it's the same surgery on the same knee, I think the 49ers, knowing that they have Mustafa for this year and two more years additionally, they're not going to take any chances. They're not going to want to cut any corners. They're not going to want to rush him back out on the field to be ready week one because we saw that maybe that surgery. I'm not a doctor. I don't play one on TV. Don't even play one on YouTube. But I can't imagine that rushing him back did not have some impact on that injury that he had in week 18 of his rookie season. So Mustafa, don't expect him to be out there on the field week one when the 49ers open the season. But after 4 weeks, maybe at some point, week five, week six, week seven, whatever the case may be, he'll be out there, and I fully expect him to be able to step in at some point and be the starter when he's healthy, when he's cleared, when he's ready to go. Jair Brown's the other guy that I would suspect will be a starter week one, as long as there's no complications as he continues his physical therapy from the ankle procedure, just a cleanup procedure. I did see him walking around the offseason program. He looked to be walking just fine. So the expectation is that he'll be ready to go when the 49ers start training camp on July 22nd. Um, another the other guy that I think is going to be a starter when the season begins is Jason Pinnock. 49ers feel like they got him at a really good price, a 1 year deal, $2.2 million. Now, Pinoch is somebody that entered the NFL as a draft pick of Robert Saleh and the New York Jets. He played for the Jets his rookie season, and then in August of year two, he gets released. The 40 or waived, I should say. Robert Saleh told him, if you clear waivers, we would love you back on the practice squad. He did not clear waivers. The New York Giants claimed him, and over the past 2 seasons, he started 32 games for the Giants. Now, I talked to him last week, and he's really excited about this opportunity. He says when he signed with the 49ers, he didn't even know about Mustafa's injury, but the door is wide open and the expectation is that he will be a starter. He says he sees himself as a starter with still a lot of upside. He's got it all when you look at the size, the speed, the football intelligence, everything else, the passion for the game. I think the 49ers may have got themselves a pretty good player in free agency, somebody that did not have the opportunity to sign a big time contract with another team, a multi-year deal. But when I asked him about where he can take his game in year five in the NFL, what he pointed to specifically are the takeaways, the big plays. It's the interceptions, it's the forced fumbles, it's the fumble recoveries. And so over those 2 seasons as the full-time Giants starter at safety, only 2 interceptions and 2 forced fumbles. However, he did have 85 tackles per season and 5 sacks over that time. So he can make plays. Like I said, he's got the size, the speed, everything to go ahead. And he's a converted cornerback too. So he's a guy who could make a really big impact. And I think a very much under the radar signing for the 49ers. So keep an eye on Jason Pinnock. I expect him to be a starter week one, and the door is wide open for him to be a starter throughout the season, even when Mustafa returns. So he's one guy that the 49ers picked up. Another veteran that they picked up was Richie Grant, who got off to a good start with the Falcons. He started 32 games for them over the 22 and 23 seasons, 3 interceptions during that time. But he only had the one start last year and really turned into a special teamer with the Falcons. So I think the 49ers bring him in primarily as special teams, but it was Grant and Pinnock who were running with the ones during the 49ers offseason program. So keep an eye on Richie Grant as well. Now, 2 other guys who have been around the 49ers, George Odom, a special teams ace. That is his ticket to winning a job on the roster this season, a veteran guy who was a former Pro Bowl player, all pro player, in fact, with the Indianapolis Colts as a special teamer. He started last season as a safety, starting safety, but did not keep that job. The 49ers ended up replacing him. So I think they see him as just basically exclusively a special teamer. Another guy to keep an eye on, I'm going to be interested to see is Jalen Mahoney. He's kind of out of the mold a little bit, more of a free safety type, but the 49ers kept him around as an undrafted rookie last year. He ended up playing in 3 games after having a good career at Vandy. Jalen Mahoney, somebody to keep an eye on as he battles for a roster spot, one of those 4 roster spots. And then the guy who really could step up and has an opportunity to contribute, whether that's on special teams, more than likely on special teams, but also could somehow fit into the mix on defense is Marquise Siegel. He's a 5th-round draft pick from Kansas State who was picked number 160, doesn't have he has decent size, 5'11", 200 pounds. Again, former cornerback, but was a team captain at Kansas State. Also started his career at North Dakota State, played there for 3 years. Again, a guy with a lot of versatility. He can play man coverage, can play zone coverage, can be a slot corner. He compares himself to Brian Branch, the outstanding defensive back of the Detroit Lions, just in style. But Marquise Siegel, somebody we did not see during the offseason program as he went through physical therapy from an injury. 49ers did not have him out there on the field, but somebody who could show up and make an impact. But I think his ticket year one is going to be as a special teamer. So 7 safeties right now. 4 are going to make the team. The question is, which 4 are those going to be? I do think that there's going to be some good competition for those final spots on the 49ers 53-man roster at the safety position.